thinking about, well, we might have comfort women. If I was born in 1945, all the comfort women are 90 years old. It's not but 5 of them left. So finally they told me, well, we're going to look out. We're going to look out for them. It's cold-blooded. As bad as the U.S. waiting, I don't know how many decades, to pay the Japanese for putting them in the internment camps. They waited them out. There was 5 or 6 Japanese left from the internment camps in 1941 and 1945. Anyway, this is a super win-win. Number Korea, especially South Korea, you see these KIAs and all of them, they're all over the place. South Korea is big in technology. They're one of the biggest in these robots and all of that. So no, we're not going to have robots. We're going to put people to work. And in North Korea, they can work like they was before. The sunshine policy, just friendship between North Korea and South Korea. And silently, they work to get rid of boss man. China wants the U.S. out of Korea, right? Because it's sitting there with probably atomic weapons. It's sitting there overlooking everybody, right? Nobody wants, including the Japanese, Okinawa, the rape of those young girls, all that stuff. Everybody is tired of boss man. So they don't have to go down and say, boss man, you gotta go. They can continue to, cruise along. When you got a strategy, it's easier to play with them people. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm not going. Sure, boss man. Use everything to their benefit. Why all the fear of China all of a sudden? This guy comes in an instant and he wants to, some of his white friends told him, you only got a few months to do this. The Chinese technically passed us. You know what I mean? So we got to slow their roll down. Okay, now, you got to remember the attitude of people. The world looks at Europe. They look at the world. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they look at the world. It's still a European creation, built off colonialism. Okay? Everybody's on the way up now. Africa is a different Africa than when I was living there. They got a lot of stuff going their way. Make good treaties with them. Good. Okay, we take some of the fossil fuels, we fix them, refix them, and we share the profit. Something like that. Where everybody knows it's even Steven, we're going to do this. Right? The world has to know that. And they get more out of it by doing it like that than raping and pillaging. You know what I mean? It's the same as, say, sex with a female. You can rape her, right? And beat her upside the head, or you can marry her, hold hands, and have children and have a wonderful experience, right? The Americans and everybody raped and murdered. The Europeans raped and murdered everybody went. That's their policy. So they still have that name is attached to them. China can still fly under that, especially in Africa, Asia, and other parts of the world. And as far as the Middle East is concerned, the Chinese should put most of their own Han Chinese out of Turkestan and Uyghurs in China and rebuild those big, beautiful Masjid they had there and tell them they're sorry. Why? Because the only barrier between Chinese and Muslims is the trouble they give in Uyghurs. And Saudi Arabia did that. See, we have to tell Chinese, hey, it ain't but 4 or 5 Salafis running around. And ain't none of them in China. And if they had 4 or 5 guys down there at Guantanamo, it ain't nobody else in China like them. That's not their makeup. So that you can make them like that. So right now, let them go home, build some universities, some Islamic universities, and rebuild that whole area. Instead of flooding the area with Han Chinese, send most of them back to China and give them some land out there somewhere. Right? That's what China should be doing. The more we're saying that this type of a plan, the more they stick to that, the farther they're going to go, and the better it's going to be for everybody. See, this new worldism, boss man sitting right at our doorstep making sure, nigga, we ain't gonna let you do nothing. Well, that ain't gonna stop nothing, boss man, because we're gonna have the rest of the world doing it. Hey, he can't stop it. Number one, he can't stop his decline and the ascendancy. Everybody else is coming up. Boss man have made everybody so angry and so upset. Anyway, we'll speed up a little bit. So, we're not against the Chinese dream. We're saying use 65% of your wealth on the Chinese dream and the other 35 or 40% on the global dream to fix the world. Everything is going their way. Right now, the U.S. pulls out of all of these international treaties on climate change. The Chinese said, we'll take it, right? They don't even have to fight. This is all boss. We don't want to bother. We don't want to fight. And not only that, China should move out of the weapons trade. And they're up to number 2 in weapons sales around the world. They should move away from that. Why? Because the CIA, in order to sell their friends to sell weapons to the world, have to start wars. If China stays in the weapons trade, their CIA, Chinese CIA, is not going to be making friends and hugging everybody. They're going to have to start wars. Why? Because they got to sell weapons. Right? So they ought to move out of the weapons trade. Weapons for defense and that type of thing. But not, that's how you make your money. Selling Africans tons of weapons. Number one, when I lived in Africa, one old jet airplane could build a whole university in Africa. It was true then, it's probably very close to it now. Who needs all that junk? The stuff is too old to use it against America. They're not going to sell you anything but a stripped down, dysfunctional. You can use it on your people only, or your neighbor. But you can't use it on them. They're a generation or 2 generations ahead of you. They're going to sell you old stuff that's so old, it's just, it's like all the pistols. You know where all the 38 specials and all of those pistols that the police used to carry? They're all out in South America. They're probably still down there. They sent them down there. They just went around, collected all the 38 specials. All the old weapons America had, they just sent them down there, and that's what they use down there. They're not up here. I ain't even seen no police in over 20, 30 years with a .38 special. They haven't had them, and I don't even know if people remember what they are. A revolver, right? A revolver. That's what we had. We had revolvers. 357 Magnums, 44 Magnums. They was powerful, but they just, you know. Anyway, let's speed up. Pro-Muslim, bring the Muslims with you. Completely encircle USA, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. Those are our traditional troublemakers. Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the United States. We don't have to worry. The new peace plan they had, can you imagine, plus this guy, 35, 36 years old, Kushner, right. Made up. Right. We don't have to worry about it. Tell the truth. Boss man, the 2 million man march in Iraq, boss man is finished. Historians talk about micro wars. Those are small wars that empire has to show its virility. And look at boss man. He ain't, I mean, it's past Vietnam, Korea. The Korean War was when I was a kid. I was 8 years old when they signed the stuff in Panmunjom. Technically, they signed a ceasefire. The Korean War is still an active war today. It's still a war today. Therefore, China shouldn't build warships and all of that because of defensive weapons. But if you don't have them, you don't even need to use them. Plus, defensive weapons are so deadly now that
drones can take out a ship. Take out some ships.
Just like them aeroplanes used to be able to take out a battleship. Mm-hmm. See, we have to change. This is a different subject, but all weaponry is evolving and gets old. We was talking last few weeks ago about the change from the battleship to the aircraft carrier. At one time, they called them dreadnoughts. They were so, a battleship, shoot, and these battleships over here had 16-inch guns, my goodness. But you could sink a battleship or aircraft carrier with them PT boats. And definitely the planes, all they do is just come in and do a little kamikaze stuff and drop torpedo after torpedo. You're going to take them out. That's how the British took the Bismarck out, you know. And all those other great ships, aircraft carriers. They changed from battleships to aircraft carriers. Okay, now who needs an aircraft carrier? Who needs an aircraft carrier to go and float around in the middle? You can take them out whenever you want. That's why they're not messing with Iran, because they talking about them battle groups over there. All them battle groups. You know how Pearl Harbor was? Imagine how small. At the Strait of Hormuz, I was on the Strait of Hormuz, you could see the other side. If you got up on the hill, a few feet, you could see it's 20 miles over there. You could see the land. Okay. Who would park them big battleships, these big aircraft carriers and stuff in Bahrain? The Fifth Fleet is in Bahrain. They're not thinking. They're not thinking. Let them do it. Remember we talked about several months back that if Iran want to cut loose, they can bust the whole area up and can't nobody do anything about it. They can't do anything about it. Because now they can take big B-52s. You know when B-52s came out when I was a kid? They came out, the B-29 was big and up till the 50s, then the B-47, Then the B-36 had jet engines and reverse propellers. I don't know if you ever saw it. It didn't stay no time. It was big. Then the medium bombers, B-47s, but the B-52 has been around since 52. Yes, whatever that was, it was a long time ago. That thing is ancient, man. You can drop those bombs on people that ain't got nothing. But you get that big old lazy plane up there, and they can shoot them all out of the air, man.
Right.
You can't use those things anymore. That's 70, 65 years old technology. Anyway, let me speed up. Completely encircle the U.S. Technically, China has already done it. Caribbean initiative, South American initiative. Remember Venezuela, the Chinese and the Russians are home folks with people in Venezuela. It's one reason they haven't failed. Chinese and Russians is home folks with Iran and Iraq and that whole crew, the Strategic Alliance. Okay, I'll speed up. What we're basically saying is that China can manage with China and Japan working together. The first thing is that they don't fight each other and they don't allow anybody to make them comfortable about each other. All four of their eyes is on boss man over here. They're not worried about each other because they got pacts and agreements that we're going to manage our forward motion, right? And if they add, can you imagine adding kindness and low interest loans, almost gifts to some people, you know? Soft power, they gotta win. They're already winning the game, but we have to stop them before they ease into that colonial Chinese dream, where our Chinese dream is now replacing the American dream. And the American dream was built off of our behind and everybody else. We want to give them the benefit of what we've learned. Remember, what we got is valuable. Yeah, we're going to use what we have. We're right here. Nobody knows boss man better than us. Even no matter how much information they get and their little information services and all, they still don't know no boss. They don't know boss man better than we do. Okay. That's what we have. Defeat the new slavery. No proliferations of weapons. War by other means. So China should have, remember they had all these line organizations like the Peace Corps, China Global Development Agency, stuff like that, that they really have an agency that they're in each country to help it develop, to study it all. Global change, global warming is happening, but y'all have a few rivers. If you build dams up so high, we can rechannel that water down through your da-da-da-da-da, and wherever you need it, you could pump water from that, right? They have to study all of that for people. They have the money, they just have to have the will to have, and they can reach their dream too. Because they're taking all the energy and changing it from negative energy, from defense to offense, from bad to good. Yeah, they can't lose. Like we said, we don't want the Chinese dream to turn everybody else's life into a nightmare like they did here. Okay, kindness, that's fine. No taking advantage of others' weaknesses. In other words, if a society has a certain weakness, you don't take advantage of it. I mean, economically, social, you help everybody. That means if you're a global entity, if they can have the Belt and Road Initiative, right? And that Belt and Road goes all the way up this side of Africa, right? Goes all the way. Hey man, that's wonderful. Just make sure everybody is on equal basis on that, right? That's all they got to do. Like I said, we're going to take these DVDs, we're going to take them down to the Chinese embassy. We're going to put a package together for all these type of lectures so they can hear it. We keep taking them back. Y'all listen to that, y'all listen to that. And we might, well, we don't want to do that. That would be putting a price on them like a counseling fee. We don't want it to be like that. But if we're giving good advice, people should help us. They're trying to keep us from getting money from the boxes. We're going to go to embassies, but there's money in every embassy. We have friendly embassies, and we have not so many. No, we go to the friendly ones. Yeah, and we'll have a plan for each country, and we go and we talk to them. They listen, or they don't listen. We done did our part, right? Okay, counties of North Korea. We talked about North Korea and North Korean characteristics. The Sunshine Policy. You ever heard of the Sunshine Policy, what they have in Korea? North Korea and South Korea being friends. They call it the Sunshine Policy. They can stretch out with that. As I said, America thought that when China gets wealthier, the people will want democracy. That hasn't happened. Not only that, see, the Communist Party today is so smooth. I'm talking about in China. They smooth. When they come out with this da-da-da-da-da with Chinese characteristics, it's not new. They've been talking that since the 50s, way into it since the 60s.